Everyone knows that young people don't engage in the news anymore. Really? I'd like to argue that they do, but it's simply our definition of news that has changed. In week 6, Harrington describes news as the stuff that informs citizens about the democratic institutions, like Parliament, democracy, courts, and other information or events that affect these. This does not pin news down to any one medium. So while it's possible that the number of young people watching primetime news and the current affair programs has decreased, like Mindich suggested, this does not mean that there are other types of informing stuff isn't present. There are several reasons why traditional news forms may not be used as much by young people anymore. Firstly would be the time that it's on, 6 p.m. A lot of students and young people these days have part-time jobs, university, they train, and they simply are not home at this time to watch news. The news that they catch up on will be reruns of programs, or later on the internet, or newspapers, or different mediums. Also, young people are watching more and more prone to watching late night shows, such as The Chasers War and Everything, Good News Week, The Panel, and shows such as this. Another problem is content and ability to relate. The youth may not be interested in a current affair and 60-minute programs because they simply cannot relate to supermarkets stripping off mothers of children, the bank stripping off the elderly. This does not mean that young people are not engaging with the news anymore. It just means that they're engaging more with what Fisk calls new news. As Fisk argued, news needs to be relevant, popular, and productive. The news needs to develop with the times to make news current, not past, opinionated, not final, in order to arouse interest in world events and situations. The Obama election was a perfect example of how young people are interacting with the news. It was a huge event. It was widely publicised. Young people and old people alike stayed up to watch Obama being sworn in. There's a whole history of black repression that's behind the ideology of what made this important. Mindich looked at the events of 9/11 and he said that this proved that young people were not watching the news because although their interest spiked in 9/11, they did not look at the other current affairs at the time. I don't think this is an example of young people not relating to the news anymore. I think it's an example of young people selectively choosing what they want to watch and also being interested in the way that news is produced. People like watching programs that they can interact with. This is a new media occurrence, and it is informing a lot of the way that people watch media now. With shows like Good News Week and The Panel and papers like MX, people feel like they can interact. They can write in. They feel like the people are talking to them. Controversy is the key to these shows, giving an opinion other than the mainstream media, allowing conversation to take place between peers. News needs to be spoken about in a social context. A lot of people shy away from discussing mainstream news, but enjoy talking about controversial things. As Fisk said, television that is talked about has some identifiable features, both content and form, which is exactly what new news does. It interacts with people, it gets them to listen to the news and to be interested in the news. And although traditional forms of news may not be as widely watched as it once was, I can safely say the new news offers a hope that young people are interested in what is going on in the world. And after all, isn't that the most important thing? Thank you.